we are revisiting that document and bringing it up to date, and it will be a very big part of the convention this weekend. I should say many members have participated already in discussion of this over the last 7 months when we first introduced it at a national coordinating committee. So some of our other accomplishments over the last 3 years has been, we organized a week-long Marxist education school at the AFL-CIO Labor College, which was a tremendous experience bringing together our leaders and talking about basic issues of theory and practice. And we have not been able to organize another one since, but we really need to do more of this kind of educational work. The Regional Coordinators Committee meets regularly, as I said before, and the Midwest region has met every 6 months, bringing together our members from throughout the Midwest, headed up by Midwest Regional Coordinator Harry Targ. And the Western region, mainly in California, held a West Coast Eco-Socialism Conference here in January of '09. The Southern region, headed up by Renee Carter, held a well-attended meeting this past March in Charleston, South Carolina, which was the first meeting in several years in the South. This day-long meeting was a real step forward for work in the all-important South, resulting in participation this weekend of, I believe, 17 activists from the South, from labor, civil rights, and the immigrant rights struggle. We will be enriched by your participation here. Special mention should be made of the accomplishments. I'm sorry, I missed an important point here. Our local chapters, which exist, I think you can turn to the next one, which our local chapters exist in theory in all of these areas. I say in theory because they have not really met. I think Northern California does meet regularly, and there are forums in some areas, but we really have not functioned as a local chapter in most areas, with regular meetings and discussion and election of local leadership, which is important in order to make it a more democratic functioning organization. Our socialist education project, I think I'm skipping around here. No, let me get to the right. Our socialist education project has done some really great work in this last period. They organized a trip to Vietnam, members and friends, in January of '09, which really laid the basis for integrating more of our work around the crucial issue of Agent Orange, which has devastated Vietnam and our own returning soldiers from Vietnam. You'll hear more about that later in this weekend. Our website of the Socialist Education Project is right here. It's a good website with a lot of materials for study. And we've been building study groups, and I think the one in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's the longest running study group, and we hope that we can get more off the ground in the next period. And we have a listserv, as I said before, the economic crisis. The Peace and Solidarity Committee distributed, is headed up by Duncan McFarland, and we distributed a statement on the peace movement and the 2008 elections. And we ensured committee's participation at the UFPJ, the United and Justice, which is the largest organization and most important organization of the peace movement. at their National Assembly last December. And they have worked, as I said before, to organize and track this convention. We have a healthcare committee, which brought together left activists for a meeting that coincided with the American Association of Public Health in 2007, which led to the publication of our pamphlet on healthcare talking points. That work was headed up by Marilyn Albert. In it, we argued for a single-payer system of healthcare and highlighted the central issue of eradicating racial disparities in healthcare, an issue that we believe strongly must be front and center in our discussions of healthcare reform today. The Labor Committee has worked to increase discussion among comrades working in the trade union movement, and has organized this workshop this weekend. We have participated in a number of national conferences and events, workshops at the U.S. Social Forum in Atlanta, panels at the last two conferences, the Working Class Studies Association in Pittsburgh and New York, and a panel discussion at the Left Forum in New York in April. And we have begun to lay plans to participate and fully help to build the next U.S. Social Forum, which will be in my hometown of Detroit, Michigan, next June. And I hope everybody here makes sure they're there for that. Our communications, and I got to rerun over this. So I want to just point out our website. If you haven't visited it, please do. Sonora Amos has been at the helm, our webmaster, since the very beginning, and built that website. And we want to make it more interactive. And we are moving into a new era with the new technology of establishing a virtual office and use of other new technologies, which Carl Davidson is going to help us with, and which I am really seeing the fog on. So I look forward to knowing about that myself. But we need new forms of communication, and these new technologies are vital. They do not take the place of face-to-face discussion and meetings with our members. So our national office in New York is right now anchored by Ted Reich, who works part-time in the office, and Ann Mitchell, who is taking up a lot of the organizational tasks with the office. Our West Coast office in San Francisco, Carl Kramer works full-time, and with the help for this convention of Mr. Castillo. You all have met at the registration desk. Our national office just recently moved from one floor in the same building in Midtown Manhattan to another office to save cost. It reduced our costs by about a half. The rents, as you know, are very expensive in New York. So our advisory committee, we have a really stellar list of outstanding leaders in our movement who are members of our advisory board. Temuel Black, Noam Chomsky, Angela Davis, Ruby Dee, and Ozzie Davis until his death. Donna DeWitt, Connie Hogarth, Manny Marable, Eugene Gus Newport, Jack Odell, Pete Seeger, and Toshi Seeger. Quite a great board. So we have come to this convention with a number of strengths, but also significant challenges. And If we are going to move forward in the coming period, we need to substantially increase our membership and fundraising with greater effort at involvement of membership. We need a membership plan that is aimed at increasing our diversity, particularly among youth, Black, Latino, and Asian Pacific Islanders. And we need to figure out how to build structures at the base, local chapter meetings or study groups. Technology is great, but we need face-to-face contact. People join organizations and stay involved when they feel connected.